So, first topic first, I would say let's talk about history, right? Let's talk about how things evolve to be, right? It's very easy to say, oh, how did we got to this predicament, right? And the answer is always history. The answer is always things happen in the past, or how the system were set up, right? And I'm gonna talk about human reactions, etc. Because to be honest, the economics is not like a profession, or not a not a phenomena which happens like somewhere in the woods, and there is like a uh, there is a force of economics, and we just connect to it and use it for our advantage. That's not how it works. Economics is purely a human activity. It's a result of a human activity of exchange of a value, not more, not less. And so, um, basically, you can always talk about malicious actors, people who use specific moments in history to enrich themselves, or people who made mistakes and bankrupted themselves. You can talk about entire countries doing the exact same thing, and it's irrelevant. Like in a longer period of time, economics always readjusts. There is always sort of mechanism in place to make a balance. That's why controlled economics, like an idea of, oh, we're gonna just control it, or we're gonna have sort of a Soviet Union style approach, where we're gonna have sort of a planned economy. We're gonna say we need this amount of this amount of that, and this amount of other things. Doesn't work. The reason is that the basic of economics goes all the way down in history and based completely on pure exchange of value, nothing more, nothing less. And so originally, I had a village. I make nails, you make, I don't know, butter, and we exchange nails for butter. Who decides the rate? We decide the rate. That's pretty much it. If I don't need nails, right? Let's say I talked to the guy. He was a nice guy, and I need 100 nails for my construction. I gave him 2 barrels of butter, right, for all for 100 nails. At that time he thought he nailed it. He made a buck, right? It's an amazing exchange. What happens in the months? I don't need nails, and he needs butter. So the problem is with entire approach is that there's always somebody's going to want nails, but actually somebody wants butter, but not a lot of people wants nails. That's why those professions were not very scalable. Because of that, the mining of ores wasn't very scalable as well, until there were sort of more business-like approach to those things. On the top of the scale was that a lot of times those systems weren't secured or protected. What I mean by this, there weren't set laws which would protect craftsmanships of or professions, which meant that even if you were very good with that, 10 years down the road there could be a change of power, at which you will be forced to do something else, or do something for free, or do it ineffectively, or completely killed, basically killed off. And because there are a small amount of people, those manufacturing would go away, would be completely destroyed, because in a way they were monopolized by few amount of people. The same goes with craftsmanship. A lot of craftsmanship were linked within like one line of master, and he would pass his knowledge only to his apprentices. They would not share the knowledge, because there would be like a secret, which will give them always profit, and that would give them bargaining chip to force higher prices, higher exchange rate for their specific know-how, and that's why they would guard it. It was natural thing to do, right? And it's still a thing in corporate, but it's very hard to enforce it. Very hard to enforce it. Very hard to keep it that way for a long period of time, right? Which is good and bad, right? we can talk about why exactly what exactly good and bad is. And the good part is that you get more people who are doing the same thing, and everybody knows to somebody, if something gonna happen to that business, it's not, so that knowledge not gonna disappear. But then the bad one is that businesses have a higher risk, right? If you invested, let's say, 10 years on developing and perfecting specific technique, and it gets stolen within a month, and you get competitors within a month, then it becomes that all the 10 years of investment was basically stolen. You're losing that value, right? And so there is a higher risk. um, we're going to talk about that aside. Specifically for people who have no idea why this is important, there is this a concept of, yeah, just make everything is free, everybody do everything. That's usually not a case. People are always blaming external forces. People are always saying that, oh, that's landlord problem. It was a king's problem. It was a president's problem. It was a mayor's problem. They made it happen, right? But they never take personal responsibility. And so, from here, I want to say that, as I prefaced originally, the economics is a reflection of the human activity, right? Um, there is some things which you are in control of, and some things which you are not. And saying you failed because of things you were not in control is removing agency from you to succeed, because it was in your control, right? And so, when when you see, for example, newer example, right? Electric car manufacturers. So, there was only one fully successful company which is standing on its own feet and not subsidized by parental company, is Tesla, right? And you can say, yeah, but like it's not fair or something along those lines. You can come up with some sort of excuses, but the truth is it's very hard business, and whatever Elon made things to succeed, whatever it took him, whatever PR hits or other things, hypes, etc., he used, and early investors who basically got less value for exorbitant amount of money, they invested in the future idea, right? And so, early customers, got a bad deal, but they invested in industry which worked, and that was their, like, donation, in a sense, right? It's subsidizing that particular business. And then you can have like a BMW or others who basically use their gas cars to subsidize the development of electric cars, right? Because they're not profitable for them. Why they're not profitable? because they're you can set the price only at the level where people will buy it, and so there's always try to optimize min max, like to gain maximum amount of profit. And that principle goes into historical matters. That was always the case. Majority of time you would want to optimize your profits, and that what you can call capitalism. But like, if you think about it, right, just in a pure matter, let's talk about your commune, right? Let's go back all the way to the isolation, or to the unit of the village, right? The guys was the nails, right? He did a nail, right? That's great. He got the barrels of butter, etc. But then after after the demand dried out, now he would say, okay, I'm gonna sell you 100 nails for one scoop of butter. Like, the rate went down because there is no demand, right? And you can say that's not fair. Like, he should be able to support his family, right? He's starving now. Nobody wants his nails in the village. Everybody built everything they need. At some point of time, he got a huge amount of profits, but that profit dried out, and he cannot live like that. It's not that he, like in the corporation, it's not that he's gonna just close his business and move on with his life, right? He cannot close. his business, his family, his livelihood. He cannot buy food, so he need to stop doing nails and do something else to support his family, right? He need to start growing plants or something, or need to go hunting, you name it, right? Or he need to diversify in doing now arrowheads, right? But if he's not flexible and adjusting to economy, or like expanding his horizons and doing other stuff, then what will happen is that he will just die, or this profession will die, or his family is gonna starve and have to be moved, or like they're gonna, they're gonna die, like literally. And so I think people don't understand that this kind of an idea goes specifically, or like, capitalism idea goes specifically, or market idea goes specifically around just natural occurrences. Why would I want to give you my butter, especially if I have a limited amount, if I don't need stuff you produce, right? Like, there's so many nails I need, there's so many planks of wood I need, and that's why those things would cost exorbitant amount of money. So the person who's selling them, they can support themselves within their life cycle, right? And so I think that's the part which is important. And from that you can see that people start organizing into larger scale. Why? You can say, yeah, why didn't we stay within, one man economy, just one man doing his job and he's living out of it, which is a dream, as I explained. It depends on the area. That's why people start getting into bigger and bigger groups, because having a bigger groups would mean that you had a bigger market, right? Specifically, if you were one person doing nails within 20 people, and then one person doing nails within 200 people. Now there is a chance that there's always somebody who needs nails, and you can do exchange for this, for that, and end up making money out of this. And then beside that, they start organizing markets, right? And originally markets, the sellers in the markets was majority of women, because the men were doing work that would give every morning they would give some parts of their results of their work to women. They would go to the market, stand there until, for example, lunchtime, and sell whatever was there, and then go around and exchange this for that. There was for that was very uncomfortable, especially, for example, for the guy who's doing nails, because if, for example, somebody came in with a big order, right? And as I told you, he got 2 barrels of butter. That butter will go bad, and if he cannot sell that butter will go bad, right? Or he would need to lower down the price for get rid of that butter. That means in the total, he actually would get less value than he originally had. And that's why people were forced to introduce some sort of intermediary which they can travel with, would be comfortable. They could store the value for the longer period of time. He could use, discretionary policy to, have some sort of coin. You can do a seashell. The seashells goes all the way to like 10,000 years ago, or like very rare stones, or later on it was gold, because it was impossible to get, and so the gold was hard to come by. It had the reason why people were so much into gold. It was different from other metals. So it was a yellow metal, right? Bronze wasn't available at that time, because bronze is actually a mixture of the metals. But the pure idea of the gold, it had a specific value, and you could exchange the weight of gold to get other things, and you can store that value of exchange, and basically keep it for later days when there's no demand for your, for whatever produce you have, right? Just think about it. And so that's where we're going with, like, appearance of the money. Money weren't root of all evil. Money was a solution. Money was a savior grace for people who wanted not die and do the profession they want to do. You can say, yeah, but money is bringing more bad than good. Yes, you know why the money is bringing more bad than good? Because majority of people doesn't know how to manage them. They're not responsible about their management. They are basically an animal was all you can eat buffet, and they just go wild, right? They don't care that tomorrow you're gonna have you're gonna have a diarrhea, gonna sit 24 hours on the toilet. They just go ham on entire like on everything. They don't plan for tomorrow. So there was like an old story about butterfly and ant. I don't know, and basically which goes is like butterfly was flying around all summer while the ant was like preparing for the winter, and when the winter came, the butterfly almost died until the ant gave her some place to stay because he had like a wood and house built and through the summer, and he was prepared. And that goes to the story ends well, but I'm pretty sure original that the butterfly just died and the ant lived on. And so the story goes of like, yeah, kids, I mean, it's all fun and dandy that you are just spending willy-nilly, but in the summer, in the winter, you're gonna die. That's pretty much the end. We sort of right now created this like safety nets for people not to die from hunger or cold or whatever, but doesn't mean that majority of people still have no idea how to manage money. And so I think that we pretty much covered the history. I think at least principle behind it. Nothing actually changed. The system just become more complex with the passage of time. We get a bigger organization. People start organizing in the groups to actually produce bigger and more expensive goods. The companies actually start managing their budgets as money. They start having a monetary policy. People wanted because people didn't want to be paid when the sale is happening. We saw the introduction of a salary, which means that you would have a smaller amount of money, with but you will get it consistently for as long as the service is needed, to actually being sort of an investor. If you think about it, right? If investor is not getting paid until the transaction, the sale of the produce is done, right? And so you're getting a bigger risk because you're not going to sell it. If you're not going to get the competitive rate, then you're not going to, it's not going to actually cover all of those months as you would be paid by salary, right? And so the salary comes in just because the companies start to become those like bigger entities of managing their budgets, managing their income, and having coffers of gold. And so from that, right, from that we see, because they didn't want to keep all of the gold in the house, like in the locker room or whatever, because it could get stolen, and then now you're zero, right? You start over. You cannot pay salaries. People leaving your corporations. You're pretty much done, depending how bad it's gonna go, right? And so that's where you see the banks comes in, and the banks would be like big castles. Was taking fees to specifically defend your stuff, defend all of the gold inside, and somehow it become evil. Why? If you if somebody steals the gold, you cannot pay your workers, and their families that week gonna starve. So is it bad? No, it's not. But then you say, yeah, but banks are taking so much money. They're all rich. They're sitting like, yeah, you can say that, but that's not how it works. Because in the end, the system is gonna balance because there is a competition. We can talk about monopoly and competition. Was idea that you're the only guy who's making nails in the village. You have a monopoly. You can dictate the price, right? And you can say, "Oh, this is evil. This is terrible. I don't. Like he's asking not 2 barrels of butter. He's asking for 10 barrels of butter. Sure, but then, for example, he moves into bigger city, right? That means he has a better stability and flexibility about the prices, about getting rid of his supply and making sure that there is market for that supply. And now he has you have not only one nails maker, but you have 10, right? And one guy has nice nails. He has a better iron, or he spends more time on them, and the other guys is spending less time on them, but now he needs to adjust the price and make cheaper. And now you have a market, right? Now you have supply and demand. You want cheaper, it's gonna be less quality. You want higher quality, it's gonna be more expensive. And so now you shop around, right? Now you create a market for different type of nails, for different type of budgets. And now the system slowly becomes more complex, right? Because let's say your village only has, or your city only has one type of nails. But then there's this new guy who comes in, he says, I have a special technique. My nails won't rust. Because he's mixing like zinc into the mixture of nails. And and then there comes another guy, he says, yeah, but my nails are way cheaper and have better quality now because he has a better forges, which allows you to actually melt it, and then he has forms which are better quality forms for nails, where he can, you know, do, put the make it a production. And then comes third guy who says, yeah, actually, but now I have automation, or he got a cheaper workers, he negotiated cheaper price with them, and so his nails are cheaper but the same quality, right? And then across this, for example, now in a different city there is a guy who has all of those nails, but nobody wants to buy them for one reason or another. And now somebody says, yeah, I'm just gonna go there, buy his nails, and come back to the village and make money out of selling on the difference, right? Have you thought about that? Now you have a merchants or traders. Now you say, this is unfair. Why do you have speculators, right, who just go around doing nothing? They produce no value. They produce no value whatsoever. There is no need for that. Why? And they produce nothing, right? All they do is travel around and just get the better price for the goods. That's not true. First of all, those people take risks by traveling, right? You don't know where you're gonna go. You know, there are like thieves or bandits who are gonna just rob you, and you're gonna lose everything, right? Or they just might kill you right from the start. So there's so you're gonna lose everything, including your life. So there is a huge risk connected to that, and that's what he's doing. But what the value he produces, you say? Okay, he goes to the village where the guy cannot sell his nails. Nobody wants them. Doesn't matter what the price. He can maybe say, maybe he has a friend who's like, doing like, I don't know, who's doing wood, right? He has a woodworker who's not getting paid either. Nobody's buying planks. Nobody's buying wood, and so his friend tell him, yeah, you're gonna give me nails. I'm gonna give you wood. We're gonna be in the equal exchange. That's all great and dandy, but he cannot eat neither nails and nor wood. So his family is starving. So now the guy comes in from outside, says, hello, I want to buy all of your nails, and I'm going to give you this amount of gold. This guy is saved. That's the bottom line. This guy is saved. His life is saved because now he can use that gold to buy food for his family. That's the value produced by the trader or speculator, whatever you want to call it. Right? And so nowadays traders mainly bring the value of risk management, but that's a separate discussion. And so when we talk about complexities, all of those systems has some value, otherwise they wouldn't exist. All of those principles behind economics, all of the monetary policies, all of the stuff, all of the mechanisms on storing that value, exchanging that value, the speed of exchange, the rate of exchange, the availability of those markets, all of it is purely evolutionary mechanics. There is no such things of like, oh, some guy came out with capitalism. There is a thing of some guy came out with communism with zero idea how economics works. But that aside, and for better like terms, the capitalism is whatever. It just is just exchange mechanism which has the name of capitalism, right? and people use it as like, oh, this is great. This is great because it optimizes the value exchange. That's all it is. And people put in the name of capitalism, in the bucket of capitalism, a lot of different things. People put it in the bucket of communism, a lot of different things. But the bottom line, one was evolved through the years, and another one was just made up. That's purely what it is. And it just doesn't work. Some mechanism around it works, but we don't know on how big of a scale, right? The communism is young. It's just 100 years old. We don't know, maybe some principles around it are going to be useful. They're going to survive and being adapted in bigger system. That's totally fine. That's how things are. They would be tested with time and adapted. But it's not going to come from somebody saying this is a good idea and we should do this no matter what. Because if they're doing that, they're killing people. Because now parts of it become ineffective, and because they're becoming ineffective, people cannot feed themselves. Because that's where the whole drive coming from, is people being able to feed themselves. Now we're going to talk. We're going to go into more complex subjects about how the system evolved for a worker, how the system evolved through the passage of time for countries, etc. But I hope you understand evolutionary how those principles came to be. And later on, there's more nuances in economics. The modern economy is a lot of different principles, but they have, um, you know, they have evolutionary value around them. And the principles which didn't work, they are removed because they create inequality in value exchange, and then there's become a problem. And actually, next topic probably is going to be a global economy, which I think is very important to understand, and it's very hard to grasp due to scale and basically understanding what's going on. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and have a nice day.